Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I say all three because whether you're joining us live or later on demand, we want to welcome you to a safety focused session of the Insight webinar series. We are so excited to bring an all-star team member together with you to talk personally while spotlighting success in trucking powered by ES and their quality vendor partners that help you, your business, and your bottom line. My name is Leah Shaver, and I'll serve as host and moderator of our conversation. I want to thank you for your part in keeping our country moving. Thank you to those of you who work from sunup to sunset and all the time before, after, and in between, but especially taking the time to join us today. As professional truck drivers continue to deliver necessities across North America, just know that we're cheering for you. We worry about you. We hope the best for you. But today we are very happy to have connected with you. Every day is an extraordinary time to be in the transportation industry, especially as a small business owner, and I'm excited for today's conversation. Before we get this party started, and as we give you a moment to join us and get settled, I'll share a couple of notes about today's webinar. First, we are taking questions. At any point, you can add them to the chat function here that you see on your device, and I'll get to them during the webcast or later and reply offline. Second, the Insight 2024 online series is being presented by Expediter Services. ES is a leader in capacity solutions and ownership opportunities, and they are pleased to have Stoops Freightliner and Dobbs Peterbilt serve as the title sponsors for the Insight 2024 series. Now, our webinars are only one part of the Insight 2024. We also produce a podcast series. Through that podcast, we offer listeners an in-depth look at key issues and opportunities in the trucking industry. To listen to the podcast series and to get the latest news on Insight, visit successintrucking.com. That's successintrucking.com. In today's edition of the Insight 2024 webinar series from Expediter Services, we will be exploring how comprehensive support and the services that trucking business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs receive as part of the ES community and an operational partnership with exclusive motor carriers and vendors ensures that you will never stand alone. Some brief introductions as we get started. I'm Leah Shaver. I own and operate the National Transportation Institute, where we serve information and support to folks that employ or contract with professional drivers or work with companies that do. I serve on the board of directors for the Next Generation in Trucking Association, and I work as a talk radio host on SiriusXM's Road Dog Trucking Radio. In addition to filling in for full-time hosts, you can catch me the first Thursday of every month from 11 to 2 Eastern for Payday with Leah Shaver on Road Dog Live, bringing you more important discussions like today's, but live for your midday drive. I have a few goals for today. I want to offer you an inside look at the programs and support that ES has firmly established to position trucking entrepreneurs for success. Through this discussion, our panelists will share the commitment that ES and their partners have made from the executive level throughout their organizations to support you, professional drivers. The webinar will also place a spotlight on regular and effective learning, defendable actions and behaviors, developing and promoting a safety culture within your business, and accessing this and the money-saving results through your membership with ES. Joining me for today's discussion is a heavy hitter. In fact, I'd say by the end of our time together, you'll see that you are in capable partnered hands, and we are going to show you why now is the time and this is your year for your new business. Randy Sturdivant with Infinity Workforce Solutions, welcome to the discussion today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. For listeners out there, I've been with Infinity Workforce Solutions for going on 17 years now, and I've been through the complete development of the Infinity Workforce Solution as it has to do with driver training. And we've been the leader in online training for the trucking industry for many years, and we've got over 337 active users, and we've delivered more than 150 million training sessions through that time period. So we've been around a long time and been helping people utilize the internet through technology for a very long time, for over 20 years.
So over 20 years, 337,000 active users and over 150 million training sessions.
That's a lot. Yes,
wow.
ma'am. So, but the reason we're the leader is we have a proven training model that's effective and efficient, and we're actually validated through over 90 insurance partners that recommend us on a regular basis. In fact, with ES, we are the training provider for their members that are utilizing the ES insurance as well.
So to that, right away, we'll just share and confirm that as a member of the ES community, having access to Infinity's platform, to the training sessions, and being one of 337,000 active users is all included as part of the ES membership. So we're going to touch on how anyone can participate and get involved with your company, but it behooves me to point out that if you are a part of the community now, or you become a part of the ES community, that your trainings and platform is all available at no additional charge to an ES community member.
Absolutely. You know, one of our missions today is really to help people connect the dots between training and preventing accidents and injuries and CSA violations and how it affects other parts of your business. So we're looking forward to having our conversation today.
Definitely. I think it really behooves us to point out that ES community members are all owner operators, they're fleet owners, they're small to mid-sized fleets, entrepreneurs, and small business owners. And so I think it's really important to note that safety training, that developing that safety culture is key, whether you are one truck and one driver, or 50 trucks and 50 drivers, or thousands of trucks and thousands of drivers. Do you want to touch on the importance of safety training for an individual owner?
Absolutely, because there's a lot of risk out on the road today, and especially in today's litigious society. But I probably want to start with preventing accidents and violations before they happen. And the reason this is so important to have a proactive plan in place and also having a way to deliver training often is because, number one, accidents and violations are both expensive to your company. You know, accidents in way of the direct and indirect that costs, how it impacts your business, and all the way down to violations. You know, a lot of people don't realize that CSA violations have a cost of their own. When you talk about the difference between being stopped occasionally at a roadside inspection and being stopped all the time, and how long you're there. So and when the wheels aren't rolling, money's not being made. So you want to do everything you can to have a good safety record that will impact that. So some other things that I know in preparation for this meeting, we talked about defendability. And one of the things that if you ever are in a legal matter based on an accident, you're going to find that two key areas that they're going to focus on are going to be, number one, your policy and procedures and making sure that you follow them. And then also what your training records look like. What did you do to try to prevent this accident? So on the policy and procedures, we actually help our clients by helping deliver those consistently and tracking comprehension against those so that they understand that everybody's following the same rules. And then having frequent training shows a culture of safety by having a structured program that is executable. And also, you know, one of the things that you go into a court of law with is all the data that shows where your drivers have participated in a training on a multi level each and every month with a very high level of participation. When you do that, number one, you're going to prevent accidents, but number two, if you are in a court of law, they're going to see you as somebody who has a structured culture of safety that they can actually see evidence of. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I think it's key. There's two things, and probably more than two, but that you just pointed out that I would stress upon. Having been in a risk manager role at a larger carrier in the past, and now working with hundreds of carriers across North America, I can tell you that what you're saying is absolutely true. In fact, I've even had same day or next day requests to see files on a driver post accident, to see those training records. You know, being in court can be many moons in the future, but the requests begin right away. And frankly, the preparation begins within your own walls immediately to show exactly what you have. And as you said, time stamped, you know, when it happened, when it occurred. Not so in your position, not just to prevent the incidents from ever happening from the behavior standpoint, but then later for documentation in terms of defendability.
absolutely, you know, you can never guarantee the outcome of a legal matter, and especially in trucking. But the more you do up front to be proactive, the better outcome you're going to have. There are companies out there that are utilizing corrective action as their only method of training, and the exposure to that is you can't stop something from happening that you're training on after it happens. You want to get proactive on things. But I want to let you know that there's a statistic out there that we found some research on that was about how many companies, how many do you win, how many do you lose when you go to court of law, and with the way that the plaintiff attorneys paint the trucking company in a court of law. Research says that 80% of the motoring public actually causes the accident, which means a truck is only actually at fault 20% of the time. But based on the way they settle cases, 70% of the time the trucking company loses. And why that's important is being preventative and proactive can save you a lot of time and money and heartache in the future.
Wow, that's a motivating statistic, Randy. I don't know, good or bad though, if that would elevate me every day when I showed up for work behind the wheel, or if that would be intimidating. So I guess to counteract how intimidating those stats are is that the most you can do to prevent, and then the more you do to hone in on your skills and to document the training is going to benefit the end user, or in this case, the owner operator.
Well, one of the factors involved here, Leah, is also when in that 70% number, there are a lot of cases that are actually solved out of court, and that they settle at a low level. And usually that happens when they find out they are buttoned up internally, they've got good policy and procedures, they've got good training records, and they go, okay, I'm not going to win this one on the big side, so let's just get a settlement and get out. And a lot of times an insurance company will settle because the cost of being in a court case is very expensive, and you could win the case and still lose more money. So from that perspective, but one of the things that again, the importance is you want to drive the right behavior. When somebody says, how do you get proactive? When you train more often, there's a lot of good things that happen, and it can't be done with occasional training. In fact, the industry had a reputation for training quarterly, which is 4 times a year, and then in a way that's difficult for people to actually show up and participate. So there was a lot of exposure of non-training, and as litigation continued to grow, there were more losses in those cases. But I did want to tell you one of the things, as your insurance carrier is the first line of defense as far as settling claims, insurance companies actually validate the frequency of our system working. Okay. And one of the things that most of our partners that we work with, again, there's over 90 partners, is that there's a minimum level that is above what people perceive as a minimum level. Training twice a month can be critical in creating a culture of safety, because there's a residual effect that actually can help your overall safety increase, because you're learning about it more often. You get more than just the one training session benefit out of that. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, a lot of times, let's say I'm an experienced driver and I think I really do know it all. I've seen it all, I've done it all. Many of my listeners really feel that they've got so much experience, and that they apply it every day. So, despite all of that experience, much of what folks do at the frontline level behind the wheel is often dictated by the insurer. So it's just like policies at a larger company. At every company that I work with now, more and more it comes up what the minimum experience level, or the minimum requirements by the insurance carrier. No matter how much a company would like to dictate those or make decisions, ultimately they're often dictated by the insurer, which is difficult to come by, as a lot of providers have pulled out of trucking overall. So ultimately, requiring it more often is one thing, but also looking at more frequent training, you're saying, is also seen as favorable by the insurer. So does it impact the rate as well?
It does, actually. One of the things that a lot of people may not be aware of is that when you're working with your insurance provider and you're going through the underwriting process, they're trying to write your insurance for the least amount of money that will allow them to be profitable while still covering your risk. So when you can show them evidence that you're a better risk because you have a structured program in place and you're getting participation and your amount of accidents and CSA violations are actually we call trending, which means they're reducing over time, you're going to have a better outcome when it comes to insurance from that perspective. They will see you as a better insured and they want your business a lot greater if you're really buttoned up on safety than they do if you're not.
Okay.
And what you
Well,
just said real quick
yeah.
is you're right. There's people getting out, and the ability to access good quality, inexpensive insurance is getting more difficult all the time.
Yeah. Well, let's talk more about that cost savings. Obviously there's costs you can see, there's costs that can be, behind the line, the paper, the line items on your policy. I used to say to every driver, and I'm very passionate about driver wellness, driver health, and I used to say a well driver is a safe driver. I am guessing that you have many expressions related to safe driving, so let's talk about them a little bit.
Well, there's a lot of things that happen financially for the company if they don't have accidents and violations. And again, being proactive, accidents that don't happen. There's more than just the cost of insurance and your deductible. There's indirect costs too, like replacing the driver, replacing the equipment, actually being in bad favor with the company that you're shipping for. So there's a lot of detriment that comes beyond just the cost of the actual accident, but also the time and energy that goes into it. To some of these cases last, depending on what state you're in, 3 or 4 years, and it takes its toll on your organization.
So ultimately, they're going to save money. What else are they going to save?
Well, so there's one important thing that people may or may not realize that fuel is pretty expensive nowadays, right? And it is proven that a safe driver is a more fuel efficient driver. So without even focusing on fuel, you'll get a benefit just in the way that the everyday business is conducted from a driver perspective. So the other thing is when you're training proactively and you're really getting your safety culture going, the one thing that you want to do is make sure you have enough frequency. But how do you find that if you're doing that just in person? So there's a healthy balance between doing training, some in person, some basically through our solution or online, and we find that rule to be about 80-20, which means about 80% of the things that are more awareness based, recurrent, more injury prevention, more process oriented, can be done more efficiently as much as a fourth the time. And so for the business owner member that we have out there, you're talking about basically keeping the wheels running and saving both the wage cost or the cost of the driver, but also the time that they're driving, but also on the productivity time that you can be using that to make more revenue as well.
So if it's not in person, it has to be a huge cost savings, not just in time, but in fuel, in being out of route to go, certain location as opposed to through the course of your trip. When you have some downtime, i.e., maybe some short breaks that might be required by law. I don't know if you can use them that way, but it seems like a good use of your time. But lots of ways to save ultimately. So it sounds like it can be done anytime, anywhere. Is that right?
Absolutely. In fact, the being able to access anywhere you access the internet, you can actually do our online training through our system, our platform, but also you can use it on any smart device. We use both of the major platforms that do that, which are Apple and Android. And so access to the training is easy. We have a little different approach in the way we do things. We are very, very focused on getting driver participation. The reason that's so important is that if you're doing frequent and consistent training, you're getting the benefit of the documentation, the behavioral change, the protection in court, being able to show your insurance company that you're focused on having a better outcome. And so participation is very important. So with everything that we do is less than 10 minutes. In fact, most of them are in the 3 to 7 minute range. So a driver can actually participate in a video, watch the video, take the quiz, and be done in less than 10 minutes and not disrupt a major portion of their time. And they can find many different ways to do that, making it easier to access and easier to participate at their convenience.
Well, I mentioned break times that are frankly much longer than that. So 3 to 7 minutes. I mean, you could kind of, can you whip out your phone while you're fueling at this point and like make double use of your time? So is it all videos? I heard you say there's some quizzes. That's of course how you prove that you did the training. Do you want to just touch on that for a moment?
Well, number one, there's great value in being able to prove not only did you participate in the training, but did you understand it? And it's kind of difficult in an in-person setting to test people, and it doesn't happen very often in in-person meetings. So the value of doing it through our solution makes it much easier to document and track automatically. But but there's value in also the outcome, because of the learning model is a concise message with a short quiz, and you end up with a learned behavior. There's actually studies that show that what we do is equivalent in 3 to 7 minutes to an hour's worth of training. So there's quite a bit when you talk about what was the learned behavior, and were you able to do it often enough to actually get an outcome. So again, our insurance partners would tell you that the twice a month is best practice. If you can do more, it actually makes that much more difference to do that, and it does equal reducing accidents and violations. But go ahead.
Is there learning in all areas? You said violations. I'm assuming you mean CSA. Is it learning in all areas of CSA, or just related to crash and moving violations?
Well, so when it comes down to training for CSA, it's funny that it's a regulation, but there's no minimum requirement on training. The more familiar you are with a recent awareness video or information on those regulations, can help you better be compliant. But our clients will use the system to do more than just awareness training. They can do it to communicate in a documented fashion. We have customers that will actually do a short video and address the company from a video from the CEO, and do a little 3 to 7 minute video that says, "Hey, we appreciate you out there, and this is kind of what's coming up, and blah blah blah, and we thank you very much." And it helps them feel more part of the company when they're able to actually see the person and to actually get the company message.
Excellent. Well, anything else in terms of the approach that you have, what's provided? I'm guessing you have some experience here, a story maybe.
Yeah, one of the things you talked about a while ago was, let me go back to the professional driver, okay? And the thing that can happen with the driver that has been doing it a long time, that complacency can come in, and it's not an intended thing, but basically, I wanted to hit the point that as a professional driver, you get that status for doing things the right way. And so what happens is that think about it in sports, okay? Your favorite NFL team, they practice 5 days a week to play on Sunday, so they don't have to think about what they need to do. It all comes automatic, and you can kind of apply that theory to the professional driver and honing their skills by reminding themselves what's the proper way to do this. Because if you get it at the heat of a moment where there's a wreck in front of you and you're having trouble with space management, and you've got to do a lane change. If you've done a recent lane change video, you have a better chance of taking all your steps and not doing it too quickly, not too reactively, to prevent an accident from that standpoint as well. But the other thing we talked about was the frequency of training. So one of the things that we compare that to, I'm pretty sure we have parents that are listening today. Is that a good bet?
How about me?
Yeah. Well, the one thing that you'll know, if you're a parent or know a parent, you'll know this is true. We have a little Johnny story, and what that means is what are your chances for getting the right behaviors from your children if you invite everybody into the living room on January 1st, said, "Here we go, little Johnny, here's your responsibilities that you're going to be responsible for the entire year. You're going to make your bed, take trash out, you're going to feed the dog, and once a week, you're going to mow the yard. What are the chances that's the last time you'll have that conversation?
Well, very low.
Most people say that day. So, but anyway, yeah, it's all about it's frequency. It's about everybody being on the same page to perform at a high level. But
I say my toddler's favorite word must be no, because that's what he hears most often. He must want to hear it, right?
there's that's a good parenting analogy, absolutely. So one of the things that the insurance companies like as well, just to further on that, there's a residual effect to safety of culture. And when you train more frequently, you actually get safety awareness from your drivers beyond the training session. And what that means is when you've watched a video every 2 weeks for the last few months, there's a chance that you're going to be thinking in terms of, is this the right way to do? Am I making the right decision more often than if you didn't have that really supporting you?
Yeah, I ironically just talked about this today as I'm teaching someone to drive, and there are some things that I say and do with her every single time, because I think the more that she hears and sees and then does that, that it's going to become that much more natural. And that way, all of the things that are unplanned, unexpected, that are certainly maybe sometimes even uninvited, that don't come naturally to us, all of the skills that I've taught her before that are repetitive and just core, that hopefully they'll become more naturally part of her abilities, and prepare her better for those unexpected, uninvited events. So, as an expert in the training world, am I even close?
Yes, you are. In fact,
Okay.
I don't know if you know do you know the 10,000 hour rule?
No.
Everybody thinks that Tiger Woods became a great golfer kind of overnight, whatever. But there's a rule out there about 10,000 hours to become an expert. Okay, and so these people, there's no such thing as an instant success because it takes time and repetition to do things. Think about our Olympics recently. The Olympics, the work and the effort they put in just for that one event to be the best performance they can be. There was quite a bit of training going on leading up to that.
Well, definitely. I mean, I was trying to think, so 10,000 hours, I mean, to the average worker working 40 hours a week, you're talking about 5 years, of work. And obviously our professional drivers work a lot more than that, but you're applying all of these skills. But you're saying kind of, it's not even just the work itself, but 10,000 hours of training.
Absolutely.
So how many years do you think it's going to take us to get there?
Well, I'm going to ask you a question back. How much training is enough?
There's no limit.
There you go.
All
So,
right.
so the point for that is that there's all kinds of things you can do to improve your company, and by communicating. Communicating is also a key of driver retention too. The more you inform them, and the more you care about them, and helping them be informed can actually increase your retention rate as well. But that again, like we said, the insurance best practice is 2 times per month. But when you throw in annual training that should be required and things like that, you should be training, uh, 2 or 3, 4 times a month on a regular basis. And you want a medium that allows you to be able to do it effectively and efficiently without stopping your business.
All right, cool. Well, let's touch on the ES community members and overall the safety program and your partnership.
Okay, well, thank you for that. We it's been almost 3 years ago that we got together and discussed a program that could really help their members have a better outcome when it comes to risk management and safety and accidents and violations and such. So we had certain specifics we wanted to do. We wanted the frequent and consistent aspect of it. We wanted it to be automated. And again, it's built to be twice per month, which is a recommended best practice, and to ensure that safety is top of mind. But what they want to do is they wanted to make it affordable, which in the case of an ES member, they it's included in their program. So but the key is a safety program like we're talking about doesn't work unless there's accountability for participating. And so, the key is that that everybody makes it part of their plan, so that if there is an accident, they've got that reinforcement behind them. And again, as far as improving their business and their profitability, preventing accidents and preventing things that slow down your business can be very important. But we've successfully put together a really good program that, again, twice a year, and it seems to be proving to be a really good resource right now for expediter services.
Twice a month.
Twice a month.
Twice a month. All right.
Twice a month.
So they've really got access at any point, but encouraged and, able to do it at least twice a month. Yes.
Absolutely. And
All right.
all they have to do is go look at their reporting. They can find out what is and is not happening as well.
Okay.
Make
Good.
sure it is happening.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like, each individual owner and their fleet members can be self-sufficient at executing their training. They can focus on areas of need or their suggested areas.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the other thing is that the template is best practice content for each carrier, that's part of what makes the business move. And it's automated. So what happens is as the assignment's made, all the communication to the driver comes automatically, and there's no heavy lifting on the part of the company owner. It actually happens all by itself. All you have to do is make sure that the participation is happening, and it's there to help your business run better.
If you get your insurance renewed at your particular carrier and you're not satisfied, and let's say you go out and you look for another carrier, what and how do you present to those folks in order to display all that you've been doing and hopefully have a more favorable outcome?
Well, that's a great question. The number one thing is if you've got everybody participating, you can run a simple report out of the back end, and you can provide that data to the insurance company to see what they're doing. I know we have a full program that they can do also, but being able to show how you onboard new drivers and train them from the very beginning throughout a monthly process of twice a month. And then also you can add in corrective action as well. They're trying to analyze your risk to make sure that they can cover your risk. And so the better picture that is and what you provide them, and record keeping is the best way to do that.
You literally just took the word out of my mouth. You mentioned picture, and when I worked in both recruiting and risk management, it's a dual-sided hat, right? Because
Sure.
you want as many folks to be onboarded at the company, but on the flip side, they need to meet a certain qualification. And as I used to put it to my team, paint a picture, to a neutral or to even an adverse party in this case, as to what the total package of a professional driver brings to the table. And this training and all that you're learning and the frequency, and then applied in the behavior, it augments what that picture can look like, because included in that picture is also what's on your MVR and your CSA record, what it looks like in your employment history, whether you were working on your own or for someone. All of that gets taken into account because it's all work done behind the wheel. So ultimately you're talking about the same, painting a picture that describes how risky you are and or lack thereof.
Well, one of the things that I don't think we mentioned this yet is if you get in a court of law, you're talking to your insurance agent about your risk. If it's not in writing, which can be digitally as well, if it's not time and date stamped and you can't find it, it doesn't go under consideration. It didn't happen. So when you think about that, painting that picture is the more data you have that proves to them that you're buttoned up on your policy and procedures and you're buttoned up on your training, the better outcome you're going to have.
Excellent.
And there's more to it than that, but those are
Sure.
two key things. Yeah.
Well, we're hosting this discussion today in the month of September. Always in September comes to mind driver appreciation, and with driver appreciation, which is often focused on not just 1 week that they have it, but it's even now recognized throughout the month of September. You've got some training available that supports Truckers Against Trafficking. I happen to live in the state of Florida. I don't know a lot of stats about trafficking, but I do know that we are one of the top states that have occurrences of trafficking, as are often, these southern lying states. You want to touch on, the Truckers Against Trafficking training. And, I don't think either one of us are experts necessarily in that particular cause, as much as the fact that learning about it and being certified is simply the right thing to do as a professional driver.
Yeah, I love to talk about this subject because it has made a great impact. There's tons of tear-jerking stories about things that have been saved because of what a driver's done. But the key is that we formed a partnership several years ago and agreed to show the Truckers Against Trafficking content through our platform at no charge to anybody in the trucking industry. So what happens is when somebody becomes our client, and again, you can do it through as an ES member also, is you can access that training. Everybody can do it once a year if they want to, just to remind and keep that momentum of being aware of what you might be seeing out there that may actually save somebody's life. And so the process, just to let you know, is you can train through ours, provide the documentation and go to Truckers Against Trafficking, and then they'll give you a certificate for training through our system. And we do that to help them and to promote their cause. And after that partnership came out, we have several states that actually require it as a minimum requirement to get your CDL. And so I think I looked it up. I think there's 11 states right now that it's mandatory that you participate. So there's probably a lot of listeners that have been through it already.
Sure. But again, nothing like refreshing your skills, your knowledge, et cetera, right? I believe I learned from Randy that frequency does lead to better behaviors.
It absolutely does. And again, like we said earlier, is you can't train occasionally and expect a great outcome.
Excellent.
Okay.
Well, if our viewers want access to your program after the discussion today, I guess number one, I would call out again that you can join the ES community, or if you're already part of the ES community, that you have access to Infinity's entire bank of training, which I believe said, I don't know, over 300,000 opportunities. But ultimately, you get that access at no additional cost. It's included in your membership. But if someone isn't yet a member of the ES community, if they're still thinking about it, what can they do today after our discussion? Where should they go in order to gain access and start augmenting their safety culture?
Well, the easiest thing to do is go to a website called Train to Win, and it'll go to a product page and kind of give you some insight of the additional things that we do. The program we put together for ES was designed to make it simple to execute for each member, and so now gives you a core default level of training that can actually impact your behaviors. We do some additional things through customization that we can do, what we call our full service, and ES members are welcome to learn more about that, as well as any of the public out there that's not a member yet. That we have over 1,800 clients, and have been in the leader of the industry since CSA came out back in 2010. Yeah.
But it was called something entirely different back then too. We're aging ourselves, Randy. Let's wrap it up here. Any final words? Anything else you want to teach our audience today? As you can see, I already took something away. Any final teaching moment opportunities here?
So I'm gonna use frequent and consistent. Is that as a business owner or a driver or whoever's listening, is safety is important, not just to the company, but to the driver as well. And there's a lot of great things that can happen by focusing on it. And it's important. And the goal today was connect the dots between, being proactive and preventative, and also looking at it from a legal standpoint. Lord help us, we hope nobody ever gets that situation, but when you do, you will fully appreciate the preparation you did to have a better outcome.
Give us the website one more time.
It's www.traintowin.com.
Randy, thank you so much for joining me today. So look, in the year of 2024, it's all about you and your new business and its advantages, making more, saving more, having more. Now's the time. This is the place to start your own trucking business. Next time you join me, you can look forward to a conversation with industry and ES leaders to plan for a successful and profitable 2025. Yes, I said that. We are almost to the last few months of this very long year, and we're going to start planning ahead for 2025. I want to thank you for attending. If you're not currently in touch with us, there are a variety of ways here that you can be. And certainly the folks at Success in Trucking powered by ES hope that you'll take the time to join their community in a variety of ways. Get in touch, stay in touch. And if you want access to any of our programs or more information, head over to successintrucking.com. In the meantime, stay safe, stay well, and connected, as with ES, you never stand alone.